Welcome to Vacation Rental Mastery, where your host, Karan Narang, guides you through harnessing vacation rental investments. Whether you're new to vacation rentals or expanding your portfolio, this podcast fuels your path to freedom. Join us in this movement to transform your life. Ready for change and legacy building? You're in the right place. Let's embark on this freedom journey and master vacation rental investing together.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Vacation Rental Mastery. We have Ben Anderson with us today. And, welcome to this podcast, Ben. I really appreciate your time today. And, I do believe that there is a lot of value-added content you can help us with to share with our audience here. So let's start with an introduction, Ben. Who are you? What do you do? What's your day job and what do you do in vacation rentals?
Sure. We actually have a lot going on. So at home, it's my wife and I, and we have 6 kids, 2 biological kids, 4 adopted internationally. So it's a constant adventure there. I've worked in the insurance space most of my career in employee benefits. So we work with companies doing their benefits packages. And I lead a region in Colorado and Arizona, and I love it. I love the team. I love building the culture. I've always had a thing for real estate. And so early on, we had a couple long-term rentals, started off with one, thought we were killing it. And then as I started to get to know more people, I was like, oh, you actually can have more of these. And I didn't realize it was possible. And so we had a couple more long-term rentals. And then we went to the short-term rentals a lot because when we travel, we can't really stay in hotels. So we were always looking for houses, and we'd find a house and we'd leave, wherever we flew in at the airport, we'd have all the kids, we'd rent a minivan, we'd drive to a Target or a Costco, get a bunch of food, and we'd go to our place that we rented. And it was just a pain finding places that weren't hotels. So we kind of knew there was a demand there. And my wife loves to decorate and whatnot. So it worked out pretty well. We also have some real estate in the mobile home park side. And then we have a e-commerce business that does ski and snowboard tuning supplies. So we got a lot of different things going, but we enjoy this because we get to see different parts of the country and whatnot. So I'm sure we can delve into more of that in a few as we talk.
No, that's awesome. And I'll tell you what, you bring up a very important point. I have 3 kids myself, and now they're getting to the age when you can no longer get away with 2 queen beds in a room. They're old enough. They're 9, 11, and it does get really expensive really quick. We also have a dog, and we've had dogs now for a few years, and it is very difficult to travel when you have pets and kids, and multiple rooms does get very expensive very quick. We're also a family that is very active, and my kids play a lot of sports. They're big into tennis and soccer, and for us, eating right is very important. We hate eating out all the time. It does get very expensive, don't get me wrong, but the fact that we have a kitchen available, that's a huge plus. And what happens to us is, we travel, we stay in these, we like vacation rentals a lot. Every once in a while, we'll go stay in a hotel, but we always come back and say, man, never again. I want to go stay in a short-term rental, in a vacation rental, because makes a huge difference when you have a family. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a great reason to be in this. And honestly, I'll just make a quick comment here about something else, because a lot of people ask me, oh, should I allow pets in my property? I've even had people say, should I allow infants in my property or little kids? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That's your main demographic. 70% of families in the US have dogs. And if you're going to exclude dogs, you're excluding a big portion of the target market. So don't do that, right? And if you're saying you're not allowed, oh yeah, absolutely. Why would you give up the opportunity to serve people who have pets and kids? So yeah, no, good job there. So Ben, tell me, what do you do for a living otherwise? I mean, I know you've got some short-term rentals. What do you do for a living?
So my day, other than chasing around the kids and trying to keep up with all their stuff, I have a team in the insurance consulting business between Colorado and Arizona. I kind of fell into it after college, and I'm probably useless for a lot of other things, but I love it because we get to impact culture in companies, and that's something that's big. People are big to me. The idea of taking care of people and looking after it. So I like my team. I like working with the team, and then we can kind of force multiply that as we go out and work with other organizations and give them ideas on how they can affect their
Yeah.
organization culture. Yeah, that's the main one. And then we
Oh
have
yeah.
our
I mean,
favorite
that's
e-commerce company, which is fun. It's in the winter sports, and we're a big ski family.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hey, we just got back from a ski vacation. We spent 6 days skiing Beaver Creek. Absolutely spectacular. For the first time ever, we hit all three mountains there: Arrowhead, Beaver Creek, and Bachelor Gulch. I only started skiing with my kids when they started learning about 5 years ago. And I mean, today they're way better skiers than I am, but I can at least claim to keep up a little bit. So yeah, it's been awesome. So you've got a few things going on. You've got this. Did you say ski shop? What kind of shop is it?
It's an online e-commerce company that's ski and snowboard like tuning supplies, so
Oh, there
people
you go.
can wax and tune and take care of their own gear. Which for the avid hobbyists and the racers and whatnot, it's a great fit.
Okay,
It's fun.
awesome.
But and next time you come skiing, you'll have to come to Copper in Colorado.
Yeah, I did
'Cause
stop by
that's where
Copper
we live.
last year. Oh yeah, we stopped by Copper last year. Isn't that the big tubing place there? Snow tubing. They got a big tubing park there, right? Copper
Yep, they
Mountain.
do. I'm there every weekend, and I actually still work as a ski instructor on the weekends.
So
So
you got a ton going on. Okay, you've got a day job in insurance. You've got the e-commerce company. You're a ski and snowboard instructor. You're running vacation rentals, right? So you have a
yep.
lot going on, right? So tell me, why all this stuff? Why? Why do you want to do any of this stuff at all? Why not just have your day job and be happy with it? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I ask that question a lot. I think part of it is the gift of ADD, ADHD.
Yeah,
Um, I don't sit still very well. It's something my wife and I enjoy doing. She kind of runs the front end of the short-term rental business, so she'll do the decorations, she'll do a lot of the guest work. I do a lot of the back end, the process, and work with. We have a VA that helps us. A
yeah,
lot of that interacting, and I think I enjoy it. And the kids, it shows the kids, I think, a little bit too. Is the typical route in America is I go to school, I go to college, I go to the workforce,
yep,
and we've always wanted them to see you can decide what you want your life to look like. So one exercise that we did that it kind of falls into this is, they would come home in school and they would do these exercises where they get a certain amount of money to invest in the stock market. Every school
okay,
seems to do this game. And so we sat down and said, well, where else can you earn some money if you wanted to have, more freedom in your life? And so we went through this with the kids and they ended up buying and selling shoes. And
buying
a
and
number of our
selling
kids now,
shoes.
yeah, and they were hitting the Nike drops and selling those. And some of the kids now go to thrift stores and they find nice clothes at the thrift stores and they come back and they put them on Poshmark. And what we don't care what they do or if they make any money. What we
Yeah,
more wanted to do is get them to feel like I get to create my destiny. And so the housing thing is some of that too. Is you can get now while short-term rentals are not by any means passive, it gives you an opportunity to earn a decent return, but then also go visit some cool places. And our kids are savvy. They came to us one time, and they've done this a few times now. But the first time they said, "Hey, we want to go to the Florida place." We're like, "Well, we get a lot of rent for that, so let's go somewhere
yeah,
else."
yeah.
And they're smart. They said, "Well, mom and dad, like this is something that you tell us makes a difference for the family and an investment we make. It would seem like we should go see what this investment looks like and experience what this is, if it's something that other people do. And how do you say no to that?" So of
That's
course we went
exactly
down to the
right.
first floor and they had a blast on the beach and all that stuff. And the memories are worth more than the money, of course. But it's good. So they've been to all of our rentals. They even the ones in Branson, they went out with us and built furniture and spent a week out there with us as we built it and got it ready to launch it because those are 6 and 7 bedrooms, which is a ton of work to get them launched.
Yeah, you brought up. I want to go back like a couple statements back because you mentioned something, right? It's that freedom. What are the choices you can make to achieve the freedom to be able to go make money, right? So a big theme around our podcast and our program is all about how you can go about achieving the freedoms. Let's face it, whether you talk about your online e-commerce store, whether it's your kids e-commerce initiatives with the Nike shoes, whether it is your vacation rentals, whether it is your insurance, the
Mhm.
bottom line is what you are trying to achieve is what we like to call the five freedoms. You want time freedom. You want location freedom. You want
Mhm.
relational freedom, who you want to work with and who you don't. You want impact freedom. You want to cause a bigger impact in the community. And to do all of this, you need financial freedom. You need the money to grease the wheels to make sure things are going smooth and you're able to actually go do these things. If I
Mhm.
said you could have all these freedoms and just pick one thing to do or not do anything at all, you'd be like, yeah, great, sign me up, right? Because end of the day, a lot of the things we do that we really enjoy doing, we do them because we want to achieve these five fundamental freedoms, and we're trying to, and end of the day, any one of these could satisfy that. So
Mhm.
the fact that you're teaching your kids that they do not have to follow that typical route, what's amazing to me is that kids in the US are taught, go to school, go to work, make a living. All you can do is basically trade your time for money, and that just seems so ridiculous to me, right? So
Mhm.
again, I'm glad you're following that path, and I'm glad you're teaching your kids. How old are your kids again?
So they are 11, 13, 15, 7, 16, 18, and 24.
Wow. Okay, so from 11 to 24, right at
Yep.
that age when either they're making these decisions in their lives or are going to make these decisions very soon, right?
Yep.
And I agree with you, man. What you're doing for them today is absolutely priceless. Showing them that this can be done. There's no one route. There's not just this one path where you're trained to go work and be a part of the workforce that can change their lives, that can shape what their future looks like. Is absolutely priceless. And I'm glad your kids are taking you up on this and actually going and doing this. I'll give you a funny story. So my 9-year-old, she was in the backseat of my car. I was driving her somewhere to soccer or tennis or something like that, and I got on the phone with a cleaner of a new property we were going to be managing, right? I told the cleaner says, hey, these linens are bad, these cookware is not looking good. I say, yes, we're going to toss it all out and we're going to bring in all new stuff because we don't take chances when we take on management. We want to make sure that we start with a clean slate. We know what's good, what's bad, and there's no
Mhm.
surprises. We don't find that one towel that is stained so bad that it ends up with a bad review, right? So we like to clean and start fresh. And I spent 10 minutes explaining to the cleaner everything that needs to be done, what needs to be replaced, what needs to be, dry cleaned, whatever it is, just go get it done. And as soon as I hang up, my 9-year-old sitting in the backseat of my car says, Daddy, we're gonna have to pay for all that. Are we paying it or is the owner paying it? I'm like, we're gonna pay it now, but the owner is gonna pay us back. Why do you ask? And she's like, no, because have you actually signed the contract to start managing this property? So she's 9, she's sitting in the back of my car,
Right.
and
She's
she's
your ops
questioning
director.
me. Yeah, and she's like, yeah, have you done this already? So they're picking this stuff up, they're learning this stuff as we go along. And before, if I was that age or even twice that age, and if I could learn and do that stuff, man, I'd be somewhere else. So yeah, the kids pick this up so quick, and I'm glad your kids are getting that opportunity to learn this with you. This is absolutely amazing. By the time they're your age or my age, you know what's going to happen, right? They're going to be somewhere else. They're going to be at the next level. They'll be shaping their futures, and that's
Yeah.
absolutely
Perfect.
spectacular. Yeah, yeah, good, awesome. So Ben, let's talk about your vacation rentals. You spoke a little bit about Branson. You spoke about the beach in Florida. Tell me where are your vacation rentals?
Yeah. And I'll tell you in the path to our journey to them, because it kind of ties them together. When we started looking, we had some long-term rentals that we were going to 1031 into short-term rentals. We kind of sat down and we went through a couple different exercises. The first was, where's the easiest, right? And the easiest place for short-term rentals is the Smoky Mountains,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
half of the United States population is within 8-hour drive or something like that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a drive-to destination. Like it's almost impossible to fail with a short-term rental in the Smoky Mountains unless you just drastically overpay. And then the other was, okay, well, what about something near water? Because that's a finite piece of land, and we wanted markets that were mature short-term rentals that had already gone through legislation, rules and all that stuff. And so we ended up down in 38 near Destin.
Sure.
And we were looking in a lot of different markets, but that was kind of the criteria is we don't know what we're doing. So let's go someplace where it's a little safer. Um, and we wanted to look like how do people get there? We wanted places that people predominantly drive there because then it didn't matter what plane flights and stuff did. The thing kind of like mobile home parks, as you slide down economically, you have different variations. So while it might be nice to go internationally on a plane, that's expensive. So then, okay, it
Yeah.
might be nice to go on a plane somewhere in the U.S. And as you move down, the bottom rung is driving. And so we wanted to be in drive-to destinations. That again is, and then from there we were also like, well, this is rough because we can't drive to them because we're in Denver, Colorado. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, where can we drive to? And we started doing, we would do circles. Like, okay, what's a normal drive? People will drive 8 to 10 hours, typically for a vacation, if they're going to go for a week. So we started drawing circles around the markets in the West Coast. And the hard part about the West Coast is everything is far away. Like you can't go anywhere. I mean, Salt Lake City's the closest. It's like 8 hours, 9 hours away.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Denver Metroplex is a great one because from there you can get to Austin, San Antonio, Galveston, Broken Bow, Branson, all these. You get up to KC, St. Louis, the Ozarks, Branson. So we started looking at like in circles of density. And we picked Branson and Broken Bow because we've got family in Texas, and they can get there and we can get there. It's 12 hours.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a quick overnight. We were under contract in one in Broken Bow and decided that we backed out of it and just stayed in Branson. And we have a third one now that we're finishing up this month. We're looking at closing on. But that's how we got to each market is kind of an intentionality of safe investing in the first ones and then locational investing in the follow-up.
That's awesome. So, you've had this journey. How long has this journey been? How many years have you been doing this?
It's been a few years. I think it was right before all the COVID stuff.
Okay, so fairly recent, within the last 4 to 5 years at most, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. We're not OGs,
Yeah.
but before things went a little sideways, we were also very careful when we bought the properties to make sure
Awesome.
working backwards instead of relying on future growth. We didn't want to
Oh
do that.
yeah, no, for sure. And you have to be conservative because the winds can change at any point. What I try to do, I also coach people, under this vacation rental mastery program. And one of the things that especially first time buyers, what they get is there's a little bit of FOMO. They want it now, they want to go do it. And I tell them all the time, I said, I'm likely going to tell you no on most properties versus a yes, because it needs to be a rock solid. My entire body and my being is saying a yes to this property in order for you to move forward. Because again, as much fun as it can be, as much how as no matter how exciting it can be, there is risk tied to it. I do like it a lot, compared to most other asset classes, because it allows us to accelerate the growth really quick because of the higher cash flow, and then we can diversify into other asset classes. But there is an inherent risk with it, and there is the increased operational effort. It's not a hands-off investment, right? Gone are the days, people used to say, oh, I want this, what do you call it? Mailbox money. This is not mailbox money, right? You're not getting that. So there is effort tied to it. And that's really why we launched this program, Vacation Rental Mastery, because not only do we coach people in how to buy, operate, and run this and scale these, but we coach them on how to put the right systems and processes in place so that you can continue to retain these freedoms. I can go buy 10 vacation rentals, but if I give up all the time I have with my family or to travel or to do the things I love, I've just made money, but I've given up all my time freedom, right?
Yep.
So having those systems and processes in place while expanding the portfolio is so critical. So that's really where we focus heavily. That's really what this is all about. So I'm glad, again, I think we're very well aligned there. So, let's pivot a little bit. So tell me, Ben, what are your biggest challenges you're facing today? And if there's one thing I can help you out with today and add value to what you're doing, what might that be?
Okay, yeah, good question. I think one of the challenges now is as the market's moved. We'll pick the Branson market. It's a little more penetrated than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
The banks have pulled back on some of their lending. Like we're actually having a rough time on one right now, closing from the construction loan into the permanent loan because the values have changed so much. Like, early on it was easy. You build it, refinance, pull some cash out, put all the furniture in. You didn't come out of pocket much.
Yeah.
It's a little more challenging now. So, you had talked before about like it can move and there's some risk. we got hit with a little bit of that now. So we're working through that. I think where we're at now is, since we have 4 and soon to be 5, we want to move to, I guess you could call it a brand identity, where we have our own website, trying to work on recapturing some prior guests for direct booking. It's kind of like, with Amazon and those things, everyone's got a cost to be on their platform because that's where the eyeballs are. And so, VRBO, Airbnb, Booking.com, all those, right? The eyeballs go there first. And so I would say you'd want to be there from a defensive posture and to get your share. But then the question is, how as a business do you create a brand identity and get people to come back, because that's easier money. And if you're not having to pay the platform, if you can even get close to the same amount of money, the net is higher. But if anything ever goes wrong, a lot of people with short-term rental have had that experience where all of a sudden my listing's not showing up. They can't see it. A guest says something about a bed bug that didn't exist, and all of a sudden they shut you off the platform until you get tests and these things. So you're so vulnerable there. I think that's our number one challenge, is how do we work to create a better brand identity and move off platform a little bit better.
Yeah, you bring up a phenomenal point. And Ben, I didn't get a chance to give you a little bit of background. We may have spoken about my background in the past, but I come from a deep consulting background. I've consulted with big Fortune 500 companies in a very complex topic, pharmaceutical supply chain, for over 20 years. And it is when I started investing in vacation rentals, about the same time you did, give or take. I decided at that point that I'm going to put in all the systems and processes I can to automate and scale and grow my business. But what I also did at the same time is I decided that I'm going to build it as a brand identity. If you haven't already seen it, take a moment after our discussion to look at our website. It's AA Stays, Adventure Awaits, AA Stays, STAYS.com. We have had this website and the properties here, this brand identity and this listing and the website for over 3 years now. And we started from day one knowing and building on the fact that ultimately we wanted to try and drive as much direct booking as we can, because we'd heard these horror stories about how Airbnb shut someone down and overnight they lost a business. And the whole COVID, during COVID, right in the beginning, that was the reaction from Airbnb, is they shut everyone down, right? Every guest was allowed the opportunity to just cancel and go home, right? If it is my business, what I might have done is I would have said, Ben, you've booked our property. We know you're not able to travel. Can we please move your thing to a different date? Or can we please work on, I can't give you a full refund, but I'll leave a credit for you on the account, right? So that you can book a future stay, or I would try to retain that customer. But if you're on Airbnb and Airbnb said, hey, you can go cancel, everyone is in a panic mode. And everyone canceled. And that's when we decided that, someone once said that if you're only listed on Airbnb, it's like you're building your home on someone else's land, right? So that's why we said we're going to build our own brand from day one. We've been collecting guest emails. So we use an application called StayFi. You probably know it. We're collecting guest emails. I think our database of previously stayed guest emails now is over 7,000, maybe 8,000, something like that. And we're now actively retargeting. Today, we're finally at a point where we are getting about 25%, maybe 30%, 25% of our bookings is direct booking, give or take. Something in that range, 25 to 27%. For most people who've been in this for the last 3 to 5 years, 25% is still a significant number. And if you look at the revenue, between the property that we have, our own properties, and the properties we manage for others, we manage, I want to say 17 or 18 other properties for other people today, and it's growing really fast. By the end of the year, we'll be at 50 properties under management. If you look at the portfolio we currently have, our current properties, ours and others that we're supposed to manage or are managing right now, is probably going to gross over $3.5 million, more closer to $4 million, give or take. Okay? When you talk $4 million and you're able to do 25% of that in direct bookings, which is $1 million in direct booking, right? Just the commission on that alone, on an average, 3 to 4% is what owners get hit with, and guests typically get hit with something about 13 to 16%. Okay, 15% fees for the guests, on round figure 5% for us. That's 20% of fees saved from going to a platform that's $200,000. Okay, even if I split that with the guests, give them a little discount, or even charge them the regular price and they don't have to pay the fees, that's a big savings. The owners, me as an owner, as an investor, and the owners I manage properties for, combined say probably over 100,000 a year. We'll take it all day long, right? That's the power of brand building. And tomorrow, if for whatever reason Airbnb, VRBO, or these platforms go change something, change the rules, change something, my business doesn't go down to zero, right? It's enough for us to still sustain and grow our business. I do believe that brand identity is absolutely critical. So yeah, I mean, hey, if that's your goal, your next step going from here, I would encourage you to seriously look at it and start building on it today if you haven't already done it.
Yeah, we have it right now. What we have is we've got a direct booking website. We put that together. It's not great, but it's a start.
Yeah.
And the one that's strange about it, I guess for anyone that's thinking, gosh, I don't know if it's worth it. My wife and I sometimes look and be like, how did this guest even find us?
Yeah.
Like some of the direct bookings, we don't even know how they found us because we don't know them. And early on, the direct bookings were people that either followed my wife as an author or a blog or something like that. But then it kind of just kept going. We got some momentum on it. And now it's at the point like when we do have to look and see, is this a direct booking? It's also, it gives you a lot of freedom too, which I like. If something goes wrong, gosh, when something goes wrong and it's on Airbnb, you're terrified of the review because you've got Superhost. You never know. Airbnb controls your money, so they can just give your money away.
Yeah.
When it's direct booking, it's like, okay, let's get with the guest. Let's have a conversation with them, and let's figure out the best way to do this because the other day the faucet it just fell apart, and so we got a chance. There was a direct booking. It was really nice. So we got to talk to them. We got to work on a solution. We weren't stuck in the middle of Airbnb calling or however they decide to handle it. We had the freedom. So I think it's been great. I would like to ramp it up.
Yeah, and I'll give you a tip here if you're not already doing this, right? If you go to our Airbnb listings, pick any one of the listings that we manage. In the description section, we start by saying, for example, we just we launched a property a couple of days ago in a market called Waco, Texas, right? It's where Magnolia's, Chip and Joanna's Magnolia, if you know that, the original house flippers. In our listing, the name of the property is, we brand everything as Adventure Awaits. So we don't have all these different names for every property. Every property we own says Adventure Awaits something, right? So this property is called Adventure Awaits the Loft because it is a 2-level loft. It's a penthouse loft in an old historic building. And our listing description will say, The Loft by Adventure Awaits Stays. Okay, and we'll mention Adventure Awaits Stays multiple times in the listing. In the host interaction or guest interaction piece of it, where we enter in how you interact with the guest, we'll say, this property is managed by Adventure Awaits Stays, and we're available for any questions you may have 24/7. So we mention Adventure Awaits Stays a couple times in the listing, and anytime a guest looks at it, if they have ever stayed in a vacation rental, if they have ever done it, they typically will go and do a Google search. A very quick search, Adventure Awaits Stays, boom, it brings up 9 out of 10 times. I think it'll take them more to our Facebook page, and we've got posts going in every day. Every day we post there. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of content on Facebook and Instagram, and it links to our website. So we create a lot of content on the marketing front to promote our brand further so that we're actually found when a guest goes and looks at Adventure Awaits Stays. So if you go and say Adventure Awaits Stays, Gulf Shores, our properties, you'll find a link to our property somehow, either our Facebook page or you'll find our website, and then people end up booking there.
Makes sense. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and sometimes they've got questions. We'll say, Yeah, our company is called Adventure Awaits Stays in a response. You can't give them a link, you can't tell them anything, but they find you then after that, and and it goes. So yes, very important to build that brand.
Yeah, that's a good
Awesome.
one.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely put it in all your listings. I think you can benefit from it. Awesome. So Ben, let me ask you this. So you want to build this brand, you want to take things forward in that direction. What else is next for you? What's exciting? What are you looking forward to in 2024? Where would you like to see yourself? What's your goal? Where you want to go in this year?
Yeah, I would say this year is probably not as glamorous as what a lot of people would hope. Um, we've got a lot of trauma in some of our kids' lives with
Yeah.
some of the adoptions and everything. So this is more a year where we're trying to just get by,
Okay.
and this gives us the freedom to do some other things and to access some treatment. And most of the counselors don't take insurance and those unique
Yeah.
situations. So it's given us another revenue stream to support some of the areas we need to focus. So it's not the glamorous stuff, but we need to get this other one launched, and then I think as the market is trending tighter and the economy's a little tighter, and at some point, all these people that are putting everything on credit cards, living like they did in COVID, that's going to come due. And so I think the market's tighter, and
Yeah.
so when I look at the STR, back in the day, it was easy. You threw it up for rent, someone rented it. And I see in some of these Facebook groups, and I'm like, man, how are you even in business as a short-term rental? You're like mean to your guests. Like you treat them terrible. Give them one square of toilet paper for 7 people, or stuff like that. And so I think now we're at this iteration where people want an experience because they
Yeah.
can go to a hotel room now. They can go to other things. There's good short-term rental hosts out there. You're a good example. Like your properties are beautiful. They're intentionally designed and decorated. And so now it's how do we make sure that when someone looks at an image scrolling, they stop the scroll?
Yeah.
And how do we create that emotional experience where they see it and it's an emotion? And then when the typically it's the wife that books these statistically, they're
Yes.
looking at it and they like it, and then the kid looks at it and says, "Oh, I want to stay there," right? Because
Yeah.
that's you want them on your side because they don't take no as easily. Um, and so I think that's where we're at now is how do we take what we have and make sure that it's relevant, it creates that emotional response, and that it differentiates because someone's gonna people are gonna win and people are gonna lose in this next phase of the short-term rental market, and we want to be winners. So
Oh
we can't
yeah.
just keep doing what we've done. So that would be the focus is how do we level that up and tighten it up, and then the rest is just kind of getting by through the season until we get settled as a family.
100%. And man, you couldn't have hit the nail on the head better because this is the year that'll differentiate the good operators from the great, right? The great operators in vacation rentals, the ones who've got all their systems and processes, the ones who are geared, the ones who have woken up, whether it be this morning or yesterday or whatever, but have come to the realization that we're in the hospitality business.
Mm-hmm.
Gone are the days where you could basically, pick any property, rent it out, make some money, and you'd be happy. Gone are those days. This is you are in the hospitality business. Face the truth, right? And the people, the hosts who've gotten to the point of recognizing them, the people who've gotten to the point of building in these systems and processes, the people who've gotten to the point of operating these at the highest level possible, they're going to win massively because yes, they're doing well. Yes, they're going to get people coming and staying with them. But you know what the crazy part is? All those bad operators that are going to fall out, that demand's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
And that demand is going to come to people like us who are basically putting in these best in class systems and processes in place and really upscaling our game, really coming to terms with the fact that our the impact we create on people's lives is very important. And as long as you focus on that impact, you are absolutely going to make money. You do not have to worry about making money if you worry about the impact. If you can focus on the impact, you do not need to worry about making the money, right? So that's where it becomes so important. Think about it. There's people who probably come to your property, who stay at your property, they're spending their $3, $4, $5,000 a year, probably their only money, only vacation for the year.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking that family on that 10-hour road trip to go stay in this beautiful place and create memories. And if all you care about is the money you make, eventually you're going to fail because you don't care very much about that guest and the experience they're going to have. So I'm glad we're on the same page there. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think my theme, by the way, for 2024 is what I call elevate. How do I take what we have and truly elevate things to the next level? Because, a friend of mine once said, he said he's going to stop using the word or the term, I'm trying my best. Because is there ever such a thing? Are you ever done trying your best? Right? So we're going to go elevate things. We're going to take things to the next level because we're survivors. Because we're gonna stay here. We're gonna excel. We're gonna elevate this experience, and we're gonna take things to the next level. So Ben, thank you so much for your time with me today. I do appreciate your time a lot, and I do appreciate the conversation. I'm sure our audience would have really enjoyed this. I hope they get a few nuggets to take away from this, from an experienced investor like yourself. And I'll call you an experienced juggler, man. You're doing so many things. Kudos to you, right from starting with this whole adoption thing to all these different businesses you're in, the type of culture and the type of life you're trying to build and the example you're trying to set for your kids. Man, you're taking things to the next level. This is called Elevate. Thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you
for joining us on Vacation Rental Mastery. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in for our next episode, where the journey to financial freedom and lifestyle flexibility continues. Here's to your success in the exciting world of vacation rentals.